An accident happened here. A young boy drowned. The family and local authorities are anxious to recover the body and bring closure to this tragedy. Circumstances are difficult for the search team. Strong winds, conflicting last seen points, cold, murky, 85-foot deep water, a bottom strewn with rocks and trees. As a search and rescue professional, this must be a familiar problem. I'm sure you've had second thoughts about placing your colleagues in danger with so little chance of success. Wouldn't you like an alternative? An alternative that lets you accomplish the search quicker and easier, that only requires you to put your divers in the water when there is a clearly defined objective. Proven technology now brings you just such an alternative, the video ray remotely operated vehicle. No longer do you have to risk having divers down for long, tedious hours of searching, with all the support and safety problems that entails. Instead, a rugged, inexpensive, never-tiring video ray, easily deployed and operated from land or watercraft, can search continuously, all day, and all night too, if need be. Sonar can be used to eliminate areas not requiring search and to identify targets for further investigation. Sonar is then used to direct video ray to targets of interest for positive identification.
June 4th, 1999, Josh Haugen was last seen above the waters of Pactola Reservoir. Searchers now are scanning the area believed to be the last seen point before Josh went under.
Yes, we have searched this area before, but most of it was with equipment that wasn't suitable for this type of terrain and by divers.
This search, 3 remotely operated vehicles, or ROVs, swim through the water, while on land, technicians are its eyes.
Hold the slack.
A scanning sonar hovers above the lake bottom, taking a 360-degree radar of the area.
The problem with that is the bottom terrain of Pactola, especially in this area, there's fields of trees that are up to 20 feet high, big old rocks and big holes.
The last search was unsuccessful. The side-scan sonar equipment being dragged behind a boat sometimes ran into underwater obstructions. This time, if there is an obstacle, searchers pull the sonar out of the water and drop it back down on the other side. 90 feet beneath the water, a scanning sonar takes 360-degree radar images in about a 20-meter diameter.
So we're just moving this thing across the bottom slowly, methodically, and clearing targets as we find them.
Meanwhile, a remotely operated vehicle with a video camera works alongside the sonar. The 2 other ROVs search from other tethered locations.
We're getting some good images and good returns, and then able to identify what those objects are using the remote operated vehicle that has the camera on board.
The sonar is not able to see what may be lying in the shadow of a rock or tree.
So we're able to fly the ROV in, the camera in, visualize the tree or the object that we're picking up on sonar, but then also fly into the shadow and make certain that that area behind the tree or behind the rock is clear.
3 remotely operated vehicles are taking pictures of Pactola's floor, one operating from the central search station on the pontoon, another from a small boat, and the third operating from the Rock Island. By about 1 o'clock this afternoon, the team had covered 800 square meters of Pactola's lake floor. The challenges they have faced come from this rock bed behind me. They've had to use the ROV's camera to manually search several obstacles and clear those targets. The scanning sonar located on the pontoon behind me is taking 60-foot sweeps at about 85 feet. By making the sweeps, the team is creating an overlapping grid-like pattern of the lake floor.
If they find a target, they're going to send the video to investigate what the target is, to see what it is, and of course with some luck and hope maybe the weather will hold, we'll find something this trip.
And hopefully bring closure to a community and closure for the family Josh Haugen left behind. Megan Maloney, KNBN News Center 1.
Video ray operates from 115 volts AC power, which can be supplied by shore outlet, portable generator, emergency vehicle generator, or battery-powered inverter system. The video ray system deployed in the inflatable during this search operated for 12 hours each day from a single heavy-duty marine battery and a low-cost inverter. The video ray system fits easily into 2 watertight cases, making transport to any site easy. Video ray is composed of 2 basic components, the above water section and the below water submersible. It is controlled from the surface through a lightweight yet durable control box. Video ray is powered by regular 110 or 220 volt AC power. The system features a digital LCD depth gauge, graphic compass, and session clock to help you navigate the depths with accuracy. Video ray generates NTSC or PAL composite video used by your television monitor or personal video viewing goggles, allowing a wide range of viewing and recording options. The submersible contains a high-resolution color video camera with tilt and focus that allow you to look at targets of interest. Operation of video ray is made simple by the easy function of the control box. Training your people to use video ray is divided into 2 phases. First, familiarization with basic control operation, and second, becoming proficient at navigation to execute a thorough search. The controls are straightforward. A vertical thrust knob sets the depth, and a joystick controls fore, aft, and turning. The current depth and compass heading are displayed on the control panel, and video shows what the video ray's camera is seeing. It only takes 2 or 3 hours to become proficient at controlling the movements of the video ray. Accurate underwater navigation requires practice under realistic conditions. So there it is, an affordable, reliable, cost-effective technique for keeping your divers out of harm's way. Why risk a life on an underwater crime scene investigation or a hazmat violation? The video ray can do it. Proven technology to help you accomplish your mission quickly and safely.
Hi, I'm Bob Christ. I was the video ray operator for the Warren investigation conducted in August of 2002 in Crescent Lake, Washington. On Wednesday, July 3, 1929, Russell Warren left Quileute Prairie, Washington in a 1927 Chevrolet sedan and drove to Port Angeles. He bought a washing machine, paid a hospital bill, bought $100 in groceries, and made 2 monthly car payments before driving to pick up his wife Blanche at 3:30 p.m. from Lincoln Hospital. They were last seen traveling west on Olympic Highway near Laird's Corner, 10 miles east of Lake Crescent. They had promised to take their 2 kids to the Salt Duck Hot Springs the next day, but they were never seen or heard from again. Various pieces of the wreckage pointed to the disappearance of the car on the south shore of Crescent Lake, but no conclusive evidence was ever found. Both boys died tragically, never having known what happened to their parents. In April 2002, Park Service divers located sonar contacts in the area suspected to contain the remains of the Warren wreck. Video ray was called in to examine the wreck in close detail due to its maneuverability and lengthy bottom time. I was able to deploy the video ray from a small Park Service boat anchored in approximately 210 feet of fresh water using a small generator aboard the bow of the boat. We were able to get a line to the wreck and follow it easily down. We spent a cumulative total of 12 hours on the wreck over a 2-day period, looking for clues as to exactly what happened. The Warren investigation proved conclusively that the car was lost in the lake. Decalcified human remains appear to be that of Blanche Warren. However, the remains of Russell Warren were not found near the wreck site. Several artifacts were recovered, including a fully preserved woman's dress and many household items. Video Ray would like to thank and credit Park Service diver Dan Pontbriand for the location and investigation of the Warren wreck. Thanks, Dan. It was great working with you. The B-29 came into existence during the crucible of World War II and was the mainstay of America's war with Japan and later with North Korea during the Korean conflict. During the atomic bomb tests in the late 1940s conducted in the southwestern United States, B-29s were used for conducting atmospheric research to determine levels of radiation and fallout. During one of these missions in July 1948, one of these aircraft went down. A sonar target which matched the dimensions of a B-29 was located in the waters of Lake Mead in early 2002. VideoRay was called in to perform a site investigation by the National Park Service. The wreck was initially located by VideoRay with use of its onboard scanning sonar. The wreck was positively identified through viewing of the serial number painted on the tail of the aircraft. The general wreck orientation was noted to be with the nose of the aircraft pointing approximately 330 degrees magnetic. The left wing of the aircraft was above the silt level, allowing for access to the underside of the wing and investigation of the underside of the engine nacelles as well as the landing gear. The fuselage was found to be broken from the bottom in an upward direction, indicating a strong bending moment from the tail vertically. In conjunction with the damage to the fuselage was the missing tail cone. If you look closely, the rivets are torn from their holes cleanly, indicating a quick and forceful rip from their mounts. Engines numbered 2 through 4 were missing from their engine mounts, probably caused by the initial impact with the water, and were located some distance from the main aircraft wreck. The number 1 engine was still attached, allowing for investigation by VideoRay. VideoRay was able to dig in close to positively identify the serial number of the engine, as well as the small details of the condition as the wreck lay. During the survey of the bottom of the wing, access was found into the bomb bay exposing an oxygen canister as well as a hydraulic actuator, obviously not attached to the missing bomb bay doors. A view of the nose of the aircraft clearly shows the nose section ruptured and splayed, indicating damage from water contact. Both pilots' escape hatches were open, probably done during escape from the aircraft before sinking. VideoRay was able to gain full access into the forward pressured vessel through these openings as well as through the open nose, with penetrations all the way to the pressurized crawl space over the bomb bay. As you can see, the wheel of the aircraft is hard over to the right, indicating probable efforts by the pilots to keep the heavy left wing, with the only engine attached, from causing the aircraft to depart controlled flight. Moving the sub higher over the pilot's seat shows the controls and instruments as the pilot saw them just before impact. You might notice that the pilot's attitude indicator and directional gyro are missing from their mounts inside the instrument. Moving further back inside the cabin, we investigate the position of the engine controls at the flight engineer station. As you can see, the mixture controls for the engines are in various stages from full rich to lean to cutoff. The throttles are in the full open position. Some questions were raised as to the crew's usage of oxygen during the mission, possibly causing problems in judgment due to hypoxia. Here we see the position of a crew member's oxygen diluter regulator. From a review of the climatic conditions at the time of the accident, it appears that this controlled flight into water was caused by the pilot's loss of depth perception over the water due to the calm, glassy water conditions that day. Upon initial contact with the water, 3 of the aircraft's engines were ripped from their mounts. From the condition of the propellers on the number 1 engine, it was probably due to the orientation of the propellers at the time of the impact. Due to the loss of the tail cone and the damage to the fuselage, it would appear that the aircraft experienced a hard pitch-up condition due to the change in center of gravity after the loss of the engines. This caused the aircraft to contact the water a second time in a very nose-high attitude, separating the tail cone, breaking the skin, stringers, and longerons after the scanner's location. The landing gear was found in an up and locked position, and damage was found to the front edge of the left wing. Those indications, along with the hard over left position of the rudder, indicates the pilots were wrestling to keep the aircraft's longitudinal axis aligned with the direction of flight. Since the direction of flight at the time of the accident was southerly, obviously the aircraft contacted the water, left wing down, then swung around approximately 210 degrees before coming to rest on the bottom of the lake. This entire investigation took place with minimal mobilization time, with no National Park Service divers incurring the danger of a deep water dive down to the wreck site. Video Array would like to thank both the National Park Service's Lake Mead and Submerged Cultural Resources units for their help and support during this operation. We would also like to thank Korean War veteran B-29 pilot C.J. Christ for his invaluable assistance and expertise during this investigation. Thanks, guys.
Hi, my name is Bob Christ. I was the video array operator for the first internal wreck survey of the USS Arizona since 1942. This project was done in conjunction with the National Park Service as well as the National Geographic Society. The purpose of the survey was to test for the status of internal corrosion of the wreck, as well as to search for sources of oil still bubbling from the wreck since 1941. Video array was identified as the only piece of equipment that could safely make multiple penetrations into the very bowels of the USS Arizona, as well as to protect the archaeological integrity of the wreck site. Although it began as a pilot project, Video array quickly became the star of the show, as everyone in the project fell in love with it and adjusted operations to accommodate its use. During all internal wreck penetrations, divers were stationed at the hull opening to tender tether, and to monitor tether management. It's the everyday items of life that bring the Arizona back to life. Here you see a vanity and the only woman's head in the vessel with marine growth attached to the surface. Here we're just aft of the vanity inside of the woman's head, looking through the corroded wall. If you look closely, this is a tube of toothpaste inside of that cup. And of course, a toilet paper holder, again viewed through the wall. This sequence was particularly interesting because Larry Murphy and I were trying to decide whether to risk going through this door. We looked one way, we looked the other. Larry was still scratching his beard saying, "I don't know," when I just went for it. I used this cabin as illustration since it was closed off from oxygen circulation due to the closed door and the closed porthole, leaving the metal and the artifacts in much better condition. Here you see the klaxon that sounded the air raid alarm as the Japanese bombers were strafing and bombing just outside. Also here is the voice tube where was heard the abandoned ship call, signaling the death of the USS Arizona. Inside of the officers' quarters, there were voice-activated phones and lamps next to the desks. Here's the reading lamp on the sliding covered desk, as well as workspace for the officers to make correspondence. I turned around from the desk, flew behind the closed door, and found this in a clothes closet. A fully preserved pair of uniform pants, U.S. Navy issue. At this point, the entire crew filled the control room watching. Right there is the hip pocket, as well as the suspender loops on the pants. Here we're squeezing back out of that door again and into the next cabin. As you can see, this door is actually open, causing some silt buildup on both the desks and on the cots. Next, we're in the Admiral's stateroom, looking at the china cabinet. Although we had a full set of construction drawings, there were a few surprises during this project, one of which was this. We found a fireplace in the Admiral's cabin against the forward bulkhead. During our second expedition to the Arizona, we brought along various tools and instruments to take samples and gather data to determine the status of the wreck. Here is video ray with the Cygnus ultrasonic metal thickness gauge attached to the skid. We determined the location of the main structural bulkheads from construction diagrams and flew the probe to the wall for a reading. What you're seeing here is me trying several locations on the wall to get a clean reading. During survey operations, we noticed that there was oil and marine growth mixed together on the ceilings. So what we did was rigged up a sampling device from PVC pipe and took samples. The main video array operational problem encountered during this project was the annoyance of tether snags. Here we have a minor snag on the table of the Admiral's cabin, which was on the easy end of the scale. We taped the negatively buoyant cable for the Cygnus gauge to video array's neutrally buoyant tether, which proceeded to get caught on everything. Here we're using the probe itself to untangle the cable from a towel holder next to the laboratory in one of the staterooms. Then came the worst snag of all. The cable for the dissolved oxygen meter was very heavy and snaked into a groove amidship port side. It took about 30 minutes of coordination between myself and Matt Russell in the water with underwater comms to clear this one. We all collectively held our breath. The USS Arizona project was the most incredible operation for which I've ever been involved. The sanctity of this site in the American consciousness, mixed with the emotional aspect of intruding into a gravesite, taxed all of the members of the team. At one point, I flew down the hallways with an Arizona survivor at my side narrating. For that brief moment, the ship lived once again. The controversy still rages today as to whether to take steps to preserve the wreck and harvest the oil still locked within its depths, or to let the forces of the sea reclaim these sailors' last resting place. I'd like to thank Emery Christoph, Keith Moorhead, and the National Geographic Society, as well as Kathy Billings and the crew of the Submerged Cultural Resources Center of the National Park Service for allowing me to participate in this job. I really enjoyed working with you guys. Thanks.